You had a rap singer here last night named Sister Soldier. I defend her right to express herself through music, but her comments before and after Los Angeles were filled with the kind of hatred that you do not honor today and tonight. Just listen to this, what she said. She told the Washington Post about a month ago, and I quote, "If black people kill black people every day, why not have a week and kill white people? So you're a gang member and you normally kill somebody? Why not kill a white person?" Last year she said, "You can't call me or any black person anywhere in the world a racist. We don't have the power to do to white people what white people have done to us. And even if we did, we don't have that low-down, dirty nature."
Of trying to get to university to divest from South Africa during apartheid. He did work for the homeless, all types of incredible stuff. Could you elaborate on your famous statement? If black people kill black people every day, why not have a week to kill white people?
That's Bill's favorite.
I know. You're right.
The most that I'm willing to say about it is that I think anytime a person emerges who's seen as a potentially powerful galvanizing force for the downtrodden, for the Africans, for the Latinos, for the minorities, for even the small Asian population. I think when a person gains momentum and popularity, that the powers that be try to redefine that person so that they no longer seem attractive or competent or capable to the people who have been made aware of their presence. And so the same way, Nelson Mandela did more than 20 years in prison because he wouldn't denounce the use of violence, that's how they phrased it, when really he was just standing up for his people's right to defend themselves. So the same way the racists in South Africa said that Nelson Mandela was the violent one, even though they were the ones who controlled the system that did the violence against millions of African people and stole all their land and gold and diamonds and property. They labeled him the violent one and said, if you don't make this statement, we're going to keep you locked in the prison. And they did keep him locked in the prison for more than 2 decades. When Malcolm X became a very powerful world global voice, and President Kennedy was shot, and he talked about the political policies of American government coming back to haunt the American government. He said, it's the chickens coming home to roost. And then they said, for black young people so that they can understand that we are at war, that we have to be strong-minded, that we have to be productive, that we have to be unafraid of expressing ourselves and getting what we want in this society.
But isn't there a danger in telling young people, encouraging them to be militant? Aren't you taking them down a track that can only lead to a cul-de-sac and at the same time alienating a lot of people who really don't understand or accept or even grasp that militant language?
Well, what most people who know my work know is that I don't only teach young blacks to be militant, I teach them to be intelligent, substantive, to make analysis. I think that America has to stop painting young black people as being uncivilized and irrational, which is what they've done in the coverage of this story in Los Angeles. I think that we have to look at the fact that black people didn't just run outside and burn out their houses because they were angry. The Beverly Center was wrecked, and that's in a white area. Korean businesses were targeted because that Korean woman shot and killed Latasha Hollins, and she was convicted of the crime, and she did not 1 day in jail. And we got 25% of our black male population behind bars doing exorbitant sentences for small crimes, and we don't get justice. These are the reasons why people were attacked.
Describe, as you see it, the gap between those young people and the rest of society.
The gap between young people and the rest of society is that young people don't have hope. Jesse Jackson says keep hope alive, but there is no hope because they look at the leadership, number one, and they say, okay, to get along in American society, you have to be a sellout. You have to put on a suit, talk like a white man, ask for what white people want, say what white people like to be successful. And young black people don't see that as something that they want to strive for. We want to be able to be who we are, talk how we talk, walk how we walk, live how we want to live, and be producers and providers for our children in the future. We want to be African.
Didn't you want to go into politics once? You went to Washington and worked, didn't you?
I went to Washington and worked, but once I found out that there was no work going on in Washington, I decided that I didn't want to be part of that scenario.
What did you see? What do you mean no work going on?
What I saw was a lot of fake people, a lot of phony people. There are ways that I could intellectualize it, but I wouldn't even do that because I'm not trying to show you my skills. I'm trying to tell you the truth.
Well, I know from reading about you and from the young people on my staff, you have skills other than music, as we've just seen. But what do you think about this, Robert Woodson?
Well, I wish the issue were as simple as the young lady is putting it. When I asked myself then if power is what we were striving for, and that was the call in the 60s, why is it in my city of Washington, D.C., we have been in control of the courts, we have been in control of the city hall, the school board, zoning commissions, and yet poor blacks in that city are no better off when they were controlled by whites. The same is true in Los Angeles, the same is true of Atlanta. The issue is, and so that we are failing our own people in some cases. And so it's really, in some cases, as I see it, it is the rules of the game that have to be changed, not just the sex of the ruler. Because if you take over a government structure that is not fair to poor people, that emphasizes downtown development, where 80% of all the development dollars that flows into these cities develops downtown, none in the neighborhoods. Yet the neighborhoods and the violence there is used as a rationale for getting urban action grants in the 60s and 70s. When that money comes, it does not go in the neighborhoods. And some black officials who are in control of it make sure that their friends are taken care of. And so that it doesn't matter then who controls it if what they do is corrupt.
The thing that we have to be clear about is the definition of power. I don't consider Mayor Dinkins to be powerful. I didn't consider Marion Barry to be powerful. I don't even consider the black woman who's there to be powerful. Tom Bradley, the guy in Los Angeles, I consider him to be pitiful, not powerful.
Who is powerful?
Powerful is when you can deliver resources, services, and substances to your people and not compromise. The only black people who can become mayors of these cities are people who compromise with the white power system and deliver the resources to other places other than our community in Los Angeles. And I think the reason why we wouldn't be sitting here if they would have delivered the right verdict is because white people wouldn't have been hurt, white property wouldn't have been damaged, and America wouldn't have lost to the tune of $500 million. In terms of solutions, however, for young people, I see it as black people having to put pressure on the system, continued and consistent pressure. That we need to, I'm going to tell you what for. What we need to do is get our experts together, make an economic assessment of our relationship to America, our contributions to corporate activity, and divest from America as a white racist institution. Black youth, we spend a lot of money on sneakers, we spend a lot of money on gear, we spend a lot of money on jewelry, and we're going to have to be unified. For the first time in Los Angeles, we saw unity between the Bloods and the Crips. We need that.
Yes,
we need black
but
unity.
Sister Soldier, these two gangs out there were unified in looting the community. They temporarily abandoned their own enmity between each other and helped to ransack their own community.
That doesn't mean that I give up hope on their ability to become politically conscious. I think that black youth have been neglected.